Alright, so in today's video we're going to look at Jesse's amplifier. Now I've known about this for, it has to be more than a year or so. Jesse's a friend of mine. We met over one of my Bluetooth chip programming videos. I think it was the QCC 3008. So we had a little chat and then, he was actually building this as far as I remember. And this is a very serious effort. So what this is basically is the AO3483, the AO438. I don't know exactly what this comes from, but anyway. And the guy's based in the Netherlands and made this basically fully digital amplifier, right? So all that's analog in here is the power section, right? The output to the speakers, obviously, and the aux in, but that very quickly goes over to the Bluetooth chip where he's using the QCC 3031, should be visible. And then it's I2S over to the amplifiers, which are some TAS amplifiers from Texas Instruments. They're not overly powerful, but in my crude and unwieldy testing, they did require a bigger capacitor, which this is. I've botched it over here, not in the nicest fashion. It's a bit straighter now, at least. Anyway, so my power supply is pretty weak here as well, so yeah, who knows. The cool thing about this amplifier is that Jesse went over and put in the effort to actually create a Windows app, which looks very beautiful, and that basically sets up stuff in, I don't know which EEPROM or if it's the one built into the Arduino at Mega 328p. So he does actually have one of those here. Is it a 328p? Yeah, it is. So yeah, basically he has that going, and what these TAS amplifiers also support is a DSP. Right, the Bluetooth chip also has a pretty serious DSP inside of it, but it's rather slow, and Qualcomm and before that CSR were very secretive with their software. It was a whole pain in the ass. I assume Texas was a lot nicer about it, and so basically what he does is he sets these up to either be both stereo, or one can be mono, or both can be mono, right? So you can have this be a 4.0, a 4-channel amp, a 2.1 channel, which is how I'm using it, or a 2-channel. And we'll go over to the app and check everything out in a bit. But as you can see, I have mine in a stereo pair, right? A and B are left and right, and then C and D are mono together and are 1 channel and are the sub channel. And you can apply filters to each amplifier chip basically, and I think, or even each output individually, and it wants to be bridged in a pretty weird way, so this is how you have to do it. The app shows you everything. It's very nicely done, as I've mentioned before. And so without further ado, let's just check Jesse's website a tiny bit, see if there's any more details that we should go over. So this is the amplifier at the time of recording, which is what, October 17th, 2023. So it's about $150 euros with shipping. This is the amplifier chip. And he also boasts the config tool, which is very nice. I'll open it in one bit. Has a little data sheet for it. I'll leave the website and you guys can check it out. So anyway, let's head on over to Windows. It's a Windows only app. At least in my testing with the Windows 10 I'm running over here, I have to run it as admin, otherwise it doesn't work. I don't know why. But first off, I'll have to wire up the amplifier. Oh, and one more thing. I did encounter quite a serious issue, which was sort of easy to rectify. So I'm using, as you can see right in the back, an Airport Express 2nd gen. And the problem with that is the output signal is a bit high. I haven't measured it on a scope to know how much whatever value it is, decibel meters or volts peak to peak, but it's pretty loud, right? It goes pretty loud. It doesn't go ridiculously loud like the previous one did, but with like in-ear headphones, it would be disastrously loud. Problem is the QCC 3031 clips pretty hard. So over 75% airplay volume, which again, right, people will come over and they'll airplay to the speaker. You can't possibly ask them, don't go over 75 or my speakers will sound like shit. Like everyone's gonna just max it out. So basically the fix to that, and I hope this is, right, I hope this is the way to go. I just added a pot in line. I don't know, I just took this off a stupid shit Chinese amplifier. Oops, and I moved it, but I think I marked it. And so anyway, this is a 5K pot, which, yeah, I don't know where it sits. I'll have to measure it and maybe add some fixed resistors to this. Jesse also has a 50% divider over here, which I tried modifying, but I ended up going with the pot because it was a lot more flexible. And then once I have the values, I could do it in hardware. So it's these 4 resistors over here. I don't know how well you can see it, plus I'm moving it all around. But anyway, these 4 over to the right, and yeah, basically those divide the inputs over here. Analog audio goes into here, and then I2C goes over to the amps. And the Arduino programs them. So yeah, that's basically the architecture, very nice. And a very solid effort. I mean, I hope I'll be there one day. So let's connect this. And we'll get back to the audio tests. All right, so as far as standby draw, it seems to be a flat 0, so that's very nice. You press the encoder and it turns on. And apparently the amps running gets you about 1.5 watts. Again, this is voltage dependent. I'm running off of the power supply for my TV, which is, as you can see, about 19 point something. So yeah, that's very good. It seems to keep the amps on because I don't know, but it might detect, or I don't think it detects the jack. I don't know. Anyway, it keeps the amps on while it's on. You can discover it in Bluetooth. So here it is. All right, so now let's connect it to Windows. Comes with this very nice Type-C cable. You just plug it in while it's on, while everything's running. And let's start the config tool. Let's see if we can reset it. Actually, this is reset. So this is its default state. Yeah, let's just, I think it might be a problem if we wire this up like that. So let's just select this one as single, and it warns you about how you have to wire them. You can see it has a little red wire for the plus, so that's very, very nice. The UI is very nice. This should be empty, so let's just do this. And again, my speakers are Canton Plus C and Canton Plus S. These are from the 80s or 90s, or pretty old. And the sub is sealed, so no ports, no nothing, should be easy to equalize. So then you go to the upload page and hit connect, and it should find it. And I think it that did it, yeah. And if you hit upload, it's gonna actually turn it on again. Yeah, there you go. So it uploads the parameters, and let's play a little snippet, see how that sounds, and then play around with the different equalizer settings, and I think that should be it, right? Anything else to mention? No, I don't think so. Yeah, the cap, the aux in, being needing a bit more attenuation, but that's basically it. It sounds very nice. It's very nice that you can really configure it, as you'll see. So anyway. And as you can see, full volume isn't that loud at the moment because you can set up the start volume over here. I don't know how in focus this is. It doesn't look very in focus. Let me just... Yeah, anyway. So it's minus 30 now, so you actually do have a lot of volume over here. And by the time you crank it up, it does get a lot louder. Alright, so this is how it sounds like this. You have an equalizer for all the channels over here. And all the equalizers have the same options, which is gain, first order high pass, second order high pass, first and second order low pass, bass shelf, treble shelf, notch and peak. Right, so I don't know the math behind all of this, but the point is you write in the numbers for each of those. It's not that complicated. Even an idiot can do it, as I will show in the following. But anyway, so the first main equalizer I'm just gonna leave as is, although let's just play with it, right? Let's go for a gain and then go minus 10, right? So this is gonna, as you can see, the graph animates very nicely at the top. So let's pull everything down, right? But anyway, minus 10. Right, so we go set, and then you have crossovers for each of the individual speakers. And let's leave these as is, or no, let's actually subdue the satellites, right? Let's go minus 10 again. So these should really not make any sound by now. They're minus 20, right? And keep in mind, you can do this for left and right separately. You don't have to do them symmetrically. And then the bass, we could do a bass shelf, which would look like this, right? So frequency, let's go 90 and to 10. Q factor is basically how aggressive the fall off is going to be, right? So the lower the number, the more aggressive I think it is, or the other way around. Anyway, let's just put 0.1 and I'll show you what it means. So 0.1, you can see it really goes on a very soft ramp. But if you put 5 in here, let's put 3, you can see it's very aggressive, but it does have over and undershoot. So 1 should be fine, right? Or 1.5 or 1.3. Anyway, so the fact that it has the graphical user interface with these nice animations and graphical representations is super helpful. Just play around with these, and I'll show you what I did in the end for my setup, which sounds, I don't know, decent. I'm not very proficient at this. So anyway, now we're pushing full stereo, full everything untouched. And once we'll hit upload, we're gonna suppress the satellites and just leave the bass powered at 0 dB with the cutoff at about 90 Hertz, right? So we should hear only bass once we hit upload. We could check the graph one more time. So our satellites are way over at minus 20. Bass sits at 0 and then goes under. And we're connected again. We're connected still, right? And we have the music playing. So this is very useful when you're debugging your sound. You can let it play and it's gonna have a small interruption, but it's still very powerful in my opinion. So I'll turn up the volume, shut the fuck up, and I'll let you guys hear the difference. Right, so basically this is what you can do with this. Yeah, basically the only Oh, these are mono right now. So you'll have to also set these as left, right, and mono for the sub. So what I've done is a very simple, crude, and I don't know, unprofessional, I guess, equalizer setup. So I basically went left, right, mono. I left the gain untouched. Initially, I did a -10 and then upped the bass in one side and then upped the mids on the one side. So I basically, by reducing the main volume by -10, I could add 10 onto the bass, do a bass shelf, and then do a treble shelf for the mids. However, what I want, and what can't be done in this setup with just one block of DSP, is I want to peak at whatever, 13, 14, 15, 12 kilohertz, right? I just want the treble to sound very spicy and brittle and sharp, right? I want that to be present, and that can't be done like this. So what I ended up doing is just ignoring the main gain, setting it to 0. Actually, we could just turn it off. I don't know if it has any difference, but it might just reduce the delay. Dynamic equalizer, I've never played around with, but I would imagine it's, yeah, what it does, right? But the thing is, I want to leave this at the, this is not going to be a portable speaker. What this is intended for, this is going to be my home setup. So I want the volume to be fixed. I want this to be screwed to the back of my TV. I just don't want anyone to touch it or see it or know it exists. And so I can't really use dynamic equalizer, but it's a very nice feature to have. Right, so as for my setup, I'm going to set the start volume to 0 dB. Channel A and B left and right, and channel C is going to be mono, which is going to be a single output to the sub. Main equalizer I'm going to leave off. I'm still debating on whether I should put a negative gain in here to offset the positive gain I'm putting in the crossovers. If anyone has more expertise in this, let me know. I fear that if I leave this at 0 and then add 9 dBs over here, I'm going to clip the DSP inside. So far this hasn't happened, and it's actually sounded better like this, as opposed to having a negative gain here and then positive crossover gain here. But anyway, I'm really open to suggestions and advice and knowledge, and I really didn't do my homework for this. But anyway, so crossover, I will change this to a peak. All right, it is a peak, and I'm gonna center it at 15 kilohertz. So right around where my soft dome tweeters should really shine. What else? Gain 7 dB. I'm gonna go for 6. Actually, this time it was a tiny bit too crisp before. And Q factor 0.5. So we'll see the graph modify once I hit this. So as you can see, it lets all the frequencies pass and then boosts around 15. Now these satellites do have a crossover inside of them, and technically they are full range. So the fact that a lot more bass is going to go to the mid-range driver over here isn't necessarily a concern. I wouldn't necessarily want it, but it doesn't bother me anyway, so yeah. And let's do this for the second channel, the right channel as well. So we're going to change gain to peak, frequency 15K, gain 6, Q factor 0.5, and watch it move. Boom. And now they overlap, very nice. I hit set. And now for the bass filter, bass shelf is fine. I'm gonna go even lower at 80. Gain is gonna be 9. And Q factor is gonna be 1. So it kind of has a more gradual slope. So 0, 0, 0, whatever. Okay. Oh yeah, and it has some low power options. You can attach a battery to this and it will monitor the battery voltage and discharge it. So it's very nice for portable Bluetooth DIY speakers. It's fantastic. Let's check the graph one more time. So our bass has a peak up to, well, the cutoff is 80. And then the satellites have a peak to add some crisp over on the right side. So we're connected. Let's just hit upload. And again, I'll shut the fuck up and I'll let you guys hear the difference, guys and girls. So in my humble and unexpert opinion, well, it's not humble, but it's not expert in any case. Sounds pretty okay. I do like it. I mean, it is more expensive than the crap you get off AliExpress, but I don't know. I really like the effort that Jesse put into this, and I like the result, and it really does sound very nice. And the fact that you can, I've actually did have a, what is it called? So I did actually have this Fosse audio come in. It was, around about $80, 112 plus shipping. Actually, it's a bit cheaper now. I paid 112, so I paid the full price. But anyway, so it's nicely built, right? The knobs are nice and they feel really high quality. And the amplifier inside is, what is it? It's pretty good, right? So it's, let me see, TPA 3255. Right, so that's very powerful, right? If you feed it 36 volts, it's gonna be nowhere near as weak as this is, right? But I've had a few issues with it, right? I could not wrap my head, again, I'm also stupid, right? But I couldn't wrap my head around what sub frequency and sub volume do exactly. The fact that my sub has a filter, like an analog filter inside of it, really didn't allow me to understand what these were. There was a way in which you could make it sound good, right? But the control you get from this this app over here, right, with the actual graphs being shown and everything done in the digital domain, nice and clean and clinically, is just, it does help me sleep at night, right? No doubt. So that's a nice amplifier, comes in a box. This is just the board. And that one's what, like a lot cheaper, 33% cheaper than this. But I don't know, I'm gonna keep this, and I actually gave that to a friend. He's also very happy with it. It's not a bad product, none of these are, but this, although it costs more hassle to set up and get going, is, I don't know, I mean, the fact that I know the guy that wrote the Windows program for this, right? That sat in his home or wherever, co-working space, I don't know, in the street, and wrote the software, and now I have it, and it's this indie effort, and it's all this like homebrew vibe. I don't know, it's a lot nicer. And so anyway, last thing to point out is you have your setup, right? And every time you're gonna start this app, or maybe it's just my case, but it forgets everything. So it's a good idea to actually save your config file. So I'm gonna go desktop and just write CFG because let's go, what is it today? 17th of October, 2023. Base shelf and peak for satellites, that is correct, and Canton 2.1. As we're gonna save it, and it is gonna save. It's gonna appear over here any moment now. All right, shit. We do wanna edit it because it's not correct. So you'll want to split these and go, A is left, B is right. And hit Control Save to save this. I don't know where Control is on this. Anyway, we can't save it because this is open. So Control Save, okay. And I'm not sure. I think this was the only mistake that the saving had. You can see here your peak, 15, gain of 6. And this is the other channel, and the sub should be over here. It is. I delay, dual, single. Yeah, no, the rest is fine. So once you save this, you can re-import it and it will re-import correctly. Otherwise, it's going to set AB as left. It's the only bug I've actually found in the software and the thing that it runs as admin. But maybe Jesse wants to install a rootkit on our computers and spy on us and sell that off to the Iranian government. Who knows? I mean, kudos to him for doing this. I'm still impressed by his work. So let's load this, and then I'm going to stop talking and close the video. So 17th of October. Right, it again tells you how to bridge the mono channel because this is a bit different and more important. Left, right, mono, nothing here. 15.6.5, so this is correct. 15.6.5, 89.1. Yeah, graph looks fine. So yeah, that's startup is 0. That's basically it. We now have our setup that we're using. We can store this somewhere safe, even print it, frame it, all that nice stuff. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Again, hi to Jesse, and props for your cool effort. I'm sorry it took me so long to buy one. And yeah, have a good one. All right, so the one thing I did forget to show is the aux in problem, where the gain is too large and it saturates the ADC on the QCC 3031. So I'll show this right now. Let's connect to AirPlay. So this would be Workroom. Alright, so the rattling is probably from the light bulbs, which I have to figure out. But yeah, so master gain is up all the way because that's how we set it in Windows. And let's leave all the aux go into the board. And as you can see, if we decrease the volume, you can hear it's clipping very badly. So if we reduce the input, then we'll get to a point where it's no longer upset. And it sounds clean. So again, I'll leave them in the comments or the description exactly the resistor, the pot position. I haven't measured it yet, so I can leave that down if anyone else wants it. But yeah, with this setting, you can max out AirPlay and it won't sound bad.